Hey fellas, so I just wanted to do a quick random rant about the things I have been into nowadays. Because quite honestly, I do not have anything better to do with my life at the moment aside well, horribly failing my tests and being an overall terrible member of the society. So the thing that kept me occupied for most of the time in the recent months was Fallout New Vegas. Actually, not the game itself, but you know how it is with these Bethesda stuffs. You spend more time modding than actually playing them. And I gotta admit, each time I reinstalled New Vegas for modding purpose in my life, I actually took the game more and more to the point of perfection. Of course, still quite far from true perfection nonetheless, as I seem to hit a roadblock in one aspect or another. Last time it was the gunplay, and now, although I have pretty much overhauled the gunplay to a satisfying degree, it's the visual limitations of their Gamebryo engine that is really driving me nuts. I always used to think that New Vegas is such a nice world building, and it's not even a game from the Jurassic era, but why does it always look a bit odd? Something I couldn't put my finger on, but I definitely had an eerie sensation that something was truly uncanny and off about this game's looks. And while walking under a lamppost in the post-nuclear wasteland, it occurred to me, there are no shadows, like at all. Objects do not seem to cast shadows in this crappy engine. Made the whole world look flat and 2D, which was the main culprit of all that uncanny valley surreal look of the game. Now I definitely tried to fix that thing with Nvidia and beyond a caution, but things quite didn't change all that much. And I was definitely reluctant to use any kind of ENB or reshade as they ruined the game's original theme and design like nothing else and make the game look like a cheap Unity engine render. So the only option I was left with was New Vegas Reloaded, which was an absolute tedious thing to work with considering that it's still in infancy and definitely as unstable as it gets. So I definitely had to put my plans for adding shadows to New Vegas for another time, but yeah, I do have to admit that the devs are definitely doing a wonderful job with New Vegas Reloaded. Aside the glitch and flickering issues I had with that, the very few moments where I could see the mod at its full potential, it was glorious. It was blissful heaven to the eyes. So I'm really hopeful for the future of that. So that was New Vegas. Next thing on the list is my sudden interest towards the Stalker franchise, which I consider one of the most epic fails of my life. And so this week I finally mustered enough willpower to install Stalker. Got the Anomaly mod, Stalker Anomaly version 1.5.1 to be specific for the job, as I was utterly clueless about which one to start with. Anyway, finished the installation, booted up the mod, and all this time I was bracing myself for the ultimate masculine fantasy of being a lonesome stalker in the wasteland of Chernobyl. I was like all those fellows who say Stalker was too much for them, definitely lacked the willpower. I'm different, I can play it. After all, I am the atmosphere and aesthetics guy. However, the first thing I encounter booting up the game, terrific amount of graphic settings. But oh well, I thought to myself, I got a fucking RTX 2060 Super and this game is like decade old. So I crank all those settings I don't even understand to the max. Also set the FOV to 105 as that helps with my motion sickness. Click on start game, breeze through the character creation and loadout menu, and the first thing I notice being spawned in the game world is the frame rates are fucking terrible. It runs like absolute dog shit. Like I bet 8 to 9 FPS at best. Like goddamn, How the fuck did that happen? Whatever. I reset all settings to their previous level, and this fucking game hits me with another bullshit already. It fucking glitched out my weapon. Then I got on loadout. So the only weapon I got to myself now is a fucking pistol and a crappy knife. If that wasn't enough, the game doesn't even tell me what the fuck do I press for what, and what functions in what way. Somehow scraping together any controls I could figure out by mashing buttons, I proceed onto the rainy lands of Chernobyl. And man, I gotta say, this game definitely nails its core component, which is undoubtedly its atmosphere. Just perfect. Down to the last minute details, it was perfect. And then, just as I walked by the site for 2 minutes, just 2 minutes, the world's most slow as fuck running animation, some weird, anomalous, thin air, nothingness, shreds me to pieces. Fuck. I'm done with this game for a good while. Nope, nope. Not touching this shit again in 2 months. The plan for living out the lonesome stalker fantasy has to take a backseat for the time being as well, it seems. But on the brighter side, I watched two really amazing movies with my girlfriend, both directed by Wes Anderson, and both are stop-motion films. Gotta say, haven't laid my eyes on such refreshing stuff in a while. Wes Anderson's films are always a treat, but these two were just right up my alley, what you can say. Ever since I was a kid, stop-motion films really got me all crazy. Back then, it was stuff like Chicken Run, Shaun the Sheep, Clay Kids, Wallace and Gromit. I mean, even now, every time I see stop-motion animations, they always make my jaw drop on the floor. Now, about the two wonderful, lovely movies. One was Fantastic Mr. Fox, and the second one was Isle of Dogs. And where do I even begin? I believe I really don't have the right words to praise these movies fairly, but one thing I have to say is that every man should experience these two films. The warm and joyous feelings both of them evoke is just unmatched, and it was a great breath of fresh air from all the depressing, overtly serious and dramatic films and fictions we mostly surround ourselves with. So highly recommend it. Do give this two a shot and you won't be disappointed. Speaking of stop motion films, by the way, I also got another stop motion film named Mad God, directed by Phil Tippett. I still haven't watched that yet, but if it is something remarkable to me, then I'll hopefully make a little something about it perhaps. Also lately I have been obsessing a bit over making my own custom journal and decorating my room with posters and stuff a bit, but feels kind of gay and cringe, because these stuffs have been quite stigmatized by the trendy and cringe alt girls on places like TikTok and Pinterest. So I'm still trying to figure out a way to do all this in a more Clint Eastwood kind of masculine based way, so that's that. Anyways, that was all for my recent activities. Thank for your patience, and now I'm signing out.